Sometime within the next minute or so, somewhere on the planet, another big idea is being born. It might be a new song, a new product, who knows? And who knows how to make this idea grow and introduce it to the world? Let's find out. Welcome to The Next Big Idea with your host, Peter Gantner. The program is sponsored by kulaBrands, dedicated to help with branding, funding, and marketing the next big idea. And if that idea is yours, you want to pay particular attention to the particulars. Peter and his co-hosts and guests will explain just how it's done. If you happen to be an investor or just an interested party, you could benefit from the efforts of kulaBrands. You could become a part of their community of folks who want to help others and make money in the process. If that sparks your curiosity or wets your whistle, sit up and take notice. kulaBrands presents Peter Gantner and his guests on The Next Big Idea.
Wow, another time to share the next big idea. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us. I'm excited to be here. Peter Gantner here. And, of course, I have my co-hosts, Cory Moran and Deb Caswell. How are you guys today?
Oh, my gosh. I am fantastic today, Peter. Thanks for asking. Cory, how are you?
Hey, everybody. Doing amazing. How's Peter Gantner?
Oh, man. Absolutely terrific, guys. Now, I know, guys, there's a lot of stuff going on right now with the whole pandemic out there in the marketplace, and I know a lot of people are worried, but, ingenuity, private sector, people, we're going to get through this here. Stay safe. Make sure you're washing your hands. Make sure you're doing some social distancing right now. But what we want to jump into today, and what today's show is going to focus on, guys, is the gig economy. We'll bring this from time to time, new opportunities that come up. We may even create a segment in the show that's called the new gig or something, right? So one of the things is we are about entrepreneurship and then people supporting entrepreneurs. But I got to tell you, I've been an entrepreneur now. I'm 54 years old. I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years. And I got to tell you, 20 years ago or so, it was really tough to find something that you could do without having to commit to it. And so, pretty heavily. So it would get in the way of building your business, right? So let's say you have a widget or an idea, or maybe you're a programmer and you're building an app right now. The beautiful thing is about the gig economy is that you can do something with very little commitment, like on a dime go, okay, yes, I'm willing to deliver food, or yes, I'm willing to drive, or yes, I'm willing to do this, and do it for an hour or two and still be able to have the time and the focus to go on your business. So I love the gig economy when it comes to these type of things. Now, I know, Deb, you've used some of the services for the gig economy, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I think most of us have used the food services, right? They bring food right to your door, the Deal Dash and those kinds of things. Also, of course, with the cars. But the one that I've most recently learned about is called Rover, and that's the pet sitting service. And my husband and I have used Rover quite a few times to get somebody to take care of our puppy for us during the weekends when we want to get away.
Now, guys, when building an entrepreneurship, right, when building a company, maybe it's a brand, maybe it's a share. Well, a matter of fact, you guys have probably heard this on Shark Tank, right? There's been a couple times when I've been watching the show and the inventor comes out and they say, are you doing this full time? And they said, well, yeah, I do this full time, but in the morning I drive for Lyft or Uber, right? Or maybe they're doing one of the other gig economy things. So that's one of the great things about the flexibility of this is, and I know that in the past, Cory has used Lyft before, right, buddy? So when you had some in-between times and stuff, you've actually driven before on Lyft, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. What a lifesaver the shared economy model is, and being able to pick up something, earn a little bit of cash, and on your own time, and absolutely a lifesaver. I was going to mention also, you got Airbnb, which we use all the time. Also, Lime, I believe it's called Lime E or something like Lime. It's the bike. You can bike. It's the bicycles, and they also have in our city the scooters where you can drive around too. So, absolute lifesavers.
Hey, now wait a second. Did you just say Airbnb?
I did.
Didn't we stay in Airbnb, our kulaBrands compound up there at the? at the King of Hearts
Oh,
Con. How much fun was that?
oh my God, we had a blast. And it was actually kind of a mini mansion, right? It had 3 different houses on the property all connected together, and it actually made for a great event, right? So something that we probably wouldn't have been able to have access to without, the sharing economy being in place, definitely without Airbnb being there. But one of the things I'd really like to keep our focus on is this in entrepreneurship, right? So I'm an entrepreneur, right? Let's say I invented a widget. I invented a great widget. Of course, I still need to make a living, right? Because here's where a huge battle goes on. Okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I come up with a widget. I invent something that I want to put out there. So I decide I believe in this so much that I quit my job, okay? Now, I no longer have an income. I may be out raising some money. Maybe I'm not bringing in enough money. I don't have enough sales yet. But I believe in my product so much that I need to move it forward. But I still need to pay my bills, because otherwise I become a burden on the business, right? So I go out and let's say I go sell $1,000 of my product, but I need to pay my bills. So I take 800 of that out or 600 out to pay some bills. If I'm able to generate revenue, income in the meantime, well then, that's great. Why don't we? Well, because there's the flexibility in time. So if I kept my job, I can't build my business because I need to be at work from 9 to 5 or maybe from noon to 10 o'clock. Well, the problem is, what if a store, that is my big break, what if this idea, or maybe a news conference or somebody wants me to talk about my product? In a normal situation, I have a commitment to go generate money that way. I have to stop and say, hey, I can't do it, right? And you have to choose between the two. By embracing the gig economy, by embracing these other ways, you have that flexibility. One of the great things that I was thinking of when I was thinking about the subject was, let's say I have a product and I want to sell stores over in Glendale. I live in Fountain Hills. Glendale's about an hour away. I could become a Lyft driver, an Uber driver. I can turn on my application when I leave here and work my way over to Glendale, right? Driving people. I cover my gas, so that saves my company money. I make some money on the way over there. Once I get to Glendale, I can go to the stores that I want to try to sell my product to and meet with them and talk with them. And then on my way home, what can I do? I can flip on my app and I can again do that type of work. Let's say, and Deb had mentioned Rover. Let's say I have a pet product and I want to do some tests with pet product. I become a Rover person. I can test my product with 20, 30, 40 dogs over the course of the month while making revenue, money, and then have other dogs try my dog product, right? Do different things, right? Because I'm getting paid to now watch other people's pets. So this is just a phenomenal way for people to still be able to stay focused on their product. Because guys, I'm telling you, you cannot build a business part-time. It's got to be your main focus. But guess what? Your mortgage company, your landlord, even maybe your parents are not going to understand, right? If you're young and you're still living at home, mom and dad, I got to go out and do this thing right here. I can't give you any money towards the bills, right? Or going home and telling your wife, well, honey, sorry, we're going to have to feed the kids cardboard today because I'm busy building my business. So again, it's just such a great way to make it where people do not have to choose between sacrificing their business and still having revenue and income coming in. And a lot of people think, I need to go raise some money. Well, if you can go make $100 a day doing Uber or Lyft, maybe you don't have to. You can help shoestring your business while you're building your business and working through that process. Also, too, you've got some work that needs to get done. You're working on a website maybe or whatever. You got your laptop with you got your Wi-Fi, you're waiting for a call to come in for your Uber or your Lyft, and you're sitting there working on your documentation. You're building your website. You're writing your marketing material. Need a ride. Hit the pause button, stick it aside, go do the ride. You park, you're waiting for your next ride. guys, think about the magic that's here with the gig economy. Now, there are downsides to the gig economy. I want to talk a little bit about that in the next segment, right? Because, most people, when they have a job, are used to sick pay. You don't get that. With driving, there's wear and tear in your car. So there are sides to the gig economy that are not. So I would not necessarily say that the gig economy is for, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in the gig economy, right? I see the gig economy more as in people who have jobs, or in our situation, entrepreneurs who just need to make some extra money. Cory, anything you got on that maybe you could give us a perspective or some information on that side of it, what I just talked about?
Yeah, just to extend on that, I was going to mention the use of Fiverr, which, being in a position what I do for work, I'm left with times where, I need to multitask, or I need, help in an instant, and I can turn to Fiverr and get somebody hired immediately. And on the opposite side of that, being able to have a certain skill or being able to do certain things, grateful that there's so many opportunities available to do that. And so, on that side of things, that's all I had to add.
Well, I got to tell you what, guys, I have a whole list. We're going to cover some of those in our next segment. We're going to go through some of the negative side of the sharing economy, the gig economy, and go through there, guys. Look, we're coming up on a break. We're excited to have you here today. We are looking forward to helping you through your entrepreneurial journey. Guys, sponsored by kulaBrands. We love having you here. Our community thanks you. I thank you. We'll be back.
You're tuned in to Better Living Radio, streaming worldwide across the internet, and you're listening to entrepreneur and thought processor Peter Gantner on the next big idea. Stay tuned. Peter will be right back. You're tuned to the latest concept on radio and on the internet, a gathering of people who use their brains to get a better deal. The day kicks off with none other than the money man, Dan Frischberg. There's The World According to Jackie Simmons, educator and mentor to anyone looking to build or rebuild their business. For the first-time home buyers and for real estate investors, David Mclaughlin is more than an exceptional mortgage broker. He's the host of his own show right here called Where to Get the Money. Let's not forget the weekly Dent Market Digest with Harry Dent and his co-host Rodney Johnson, offering a free daily newsletter called Economy and Markets. It's the talk and info you need to live a better life. Hence the name Better Living Radio, anchored in Bradenton, Florida at WWPR and broadcasting 24/7 worldwide. Tell your friends about Better Living Radio. Better Living Radio is on the air, and yes, it's everywhere around the world. Are you wondering, hey, what's the big idea? Oh, funny you should ask. Our show is called The Next Big Idea with Peter Gantner. In fact, we're back with more on Better Living Radio.
Boom, we're back, guys, and we're going to continue on with our show on the gig economy and ways that you can generate extra money as an entrepreneur. Now, one of the other sides of the gig economy, guys, and we had mentioned Airbnb in the last segment, right, is taking assets that you already have. Maybe you're, an older, your kids have moved out and you've got a 4-bedroom house and you need to generate some money. Because, again, one of the things you do not want to do is become a burden on your business, right, where the business is not generating enough money. As soon as it's generating enough money or you raise enough money to pay yourself a salary, you as the founder working the business should get paid. But the one thing you do not want is your pay taking away from what's needed for the bare minimum basics of the business, right? Because now you're helping take away from the success of your business instead of providing success to the business. And so there are also a lot of assets that you have. There are rental sites. Maybe you have a lawnmower, and it's because you're building a business, you don't mow your lawn anymore, right? You're letting the weeds grow. The neighbors are putting notices on the door, right? Hey, you need to mow your lawn. You used to do it all the time, but now you're an entrepreneur and it's not on the front of your thought process, right? Maybe you had a car that you used a lot before, but now you have days where you're working at home And you could rent your car out. We're going to talk about that, where you can take your existing car. Because remember, it's your bills, your expenses that you're trying to get beyond or generating some extra money to move your business forward. Guys, this is imperative when you're an entrepreneur, because more businesses close down because they run out of money than anything else. So even if you're sitting there right now going, look, I think I'll have enough money, you may want to think through the gig economy of things that you can do in case you start to run out of money. Then you're not panicking, right? If you have that safe, you've got your business plan, and then maybe at the bottom of your business plan, you write, okay, here's the 4 or 5 gig economy things I'm willing to do if I don't have the funding that's necessary to run my business. So I don't know about this, but in some cities, guys, do you know that if you live in a populated area, maybe you live in downtown San Francisco or somewhere, and you have a home and you have a driveway, that you can actually rent out your driveway on a daily basis, right? So let's say you and your spouse or your significant other, let's say one of you work during the daytime, maybe he or she leaves to go to work, you're at home working your business, building your company, now your driveway's empty, you can sign up for Spot Hero if it's in your area. Somebody will pull in your driveway and you can generate, who knows, $20, $30 a day. I did not get into all the details, guys, of the amount of money that you could build through these, but imagine generating $100 a week in extra income by utilizing your driveway. Again,
holy smokes. I just want to stop for just a second and make sure that our listeners are hearing this. Peter, this is incredible. So I can rent out my car while I'm in here working and I'm not using it. My car sits for so long sometimes. And my driveway too. Now I'm in a neighborhood that's not so populated, but I think I'm going to put the word out on the street that my driveway is for rent in case there's anybody that needs it. I think that's a fantastic idea.
We mentioned in the last segment, what if you're a couple and your kids have moved? Me and my wife are getting to be ready to be in this position, right? We have 3 children. My oldest is 24. My youngest is 18. He's getting ready to go to college. So me and my wife, we're right at that point where we're going to become empty nesters, right? My son, he's 18. He's getting ready to, our daughters have already moved out, went to college and all that stuff. Son is getting ready to move out here in June. And so we're going to have some extra space. Now, my wife will probably fill that up with something else, but we could, if we needed to make extra revenue, rent those rooms out, become an Airbnb host, and utilize something we already own to generate that extra income. And again, you heard Deb talk about in the last segment about what a great time we had at our Airbnb in Los Angeles. You could create value there. So there's just so much stuff. Parking spots. There's a site called Renta. Renta, R-E-N-T-A-H. It allows you to rent out any type of item. I believe it's in an early stage still, but you could rent out your lawnmower. You could rent out, maybe you've had a whole life and you've generated all this stuff. How many people listening have a garage full of tools that you use like once a year, right? There's somebody who's thinking, hey, I need to buy that tool, and they could benefit from you landing it. You as an entrepreneur would benefit by generating some income and revenue from that. So there are so many sites. So what I'm going to do right now, guys, I want to run through a list of sites. Go ahead, Deb.
Oh, hey, I was just wondering, I heard you say Renta, and I heard you talk about renting out lawnmowers and such. And it seems to me when I listened to the story of kulaBrands way back in the day, weren't you looking at starting a business in the shared economy space?
Yes, Deb. So, I actually looked at getting involved in the sharing economy by letting people, be able to rent their stuff out. So we had started building some technology and working on that side of it. And the reason why I was reading a report about that, most people who buy a drill use it less than 8 minutes a year. So I want you to think about this. I'm going to go out and spend $40, $50, $60 on a drill, and I'm going to use it 8 minutes. Because when I buy a drill, I really don't want to drill, most of us. I mean, there are tool people out there that like, oh my God, check out my drill. They want to show it to you and all that stuff. But for most people, they simply want a hole, and they're going to use it maybe once a year. So would it be easier than me spending $50 on a drill is renting a drill for $7 or $8 from somebody who bought it? One of the great sides of the sharing economy on that side of it would be the environmental impact that it would have, because instead of 1,000 drills being able to be made to be used for 8 minutes, maybe one drill then could be used for all 8,000 of those instances, right? And so there's a great environmental impact to being able to utilize some of the resources and the stuff that we have. I mean, I know a lot of people have fears that, you know, at some point the population is going to grow so big, we're going to run out of resources. So one of the things we need to do as people is figure out how to better utilize those resources. And instead of that drill being an expense that creates value when you need it, it can actually become a revenue generator for you and help bring more value to you on a financial level. And when you are an entrepreneur, guys, that is so important to have the finances and the ability to make it happen. But even if you're not an entrepreneur, maybe you get laid off from your job, maybe you know, you've had some unfortunate thing take place. The sharing economy is a way to look at it as a bridge to getting you to that point of being able to make it. Because I had mentioned we were going to mention a few of the down things of the sharing economy in the last segment. And one of those is, guys, you are not going to be able to go collect unemployment. You're not going to be able to, you know, have a 401k set up, the retirement stuff. There is no medical that's set up for it. Now, I know there are people that are working on things like that, and there's some innovations happening in different companies that will circumvent some of that type of stuff. There's some regulations going and things like that. So I do not see the gig economy as in, hey, I'm a full-timer in this, and this is how I make my living for the next 40 or 50 years. I really see it as a way to take your time that you're not using right now, or resources you're not using, or the need to be able to pay some bills right away, and giving you that flexibility and that power that is necessary. And again, if you are not paying attention to your startup, your business, it is not staying there. It either is moving forward or it's moving backwards. And the gig economy is such a powerful way to allow you to keep moving your business forward while still bringing in income and keeping yourself on a great path towards success, right? And there are some great ones. I said I was going to get into the list. We're going to have to move that to the next segment on that side of it. But there are some cool things. There are, if you're, let's say you know computers. Let's say your business is in the tech space. You're right now building some application, but you do know how to network. You do know how to work on computers. There is a site for you to be able to sign up for that, go work for a couple hours on someone else's computer, then get right back to your project. Let's say you're a photographer and you just like taking pictures or video, or maybe your business is in that area. You can sell those photos. What if you're an artist? Imagine if I told you there was a site where you could rent your paintings to businesses and housing people that want to, you know, decorate a home, to where you could rent your artwork up. They would put it in, you would get it back, and then you could rent it out to somewhere else. All of this exists. All of this is possible with the new gig and sharing economy.
You know, Peter, I'm really excited that we're talking about the gig economy, because it's insane how many options are out there today for an entrepreneur who wants to earn a little extra money on the side to keep their business going, or whatever it is. But I go back in time and I think about, you know, the whole network marketing industry was born out of regular people working regular jobs looking for a side hustle, right? So it can be
our whole lives, right?
And so now we're looking at the gig economy, still a great option for people with a job looking for a side hustle, but a phenomenal opportunity for an entrepreneur looking to just fill the gaps.
And there are some of the businesses that exist today that are huge successes that came out of side hustle, right? I read an article to the group, right?
Exactly, Peter. Wow, what an important show this is today.
So guys, we're going to jump more into this back in the next segment. We're going to go through our list. We're going to be right back, guys, with the show and with this subject. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
So are you wondering where the next big idea will come from? Well, you'll hear about it first here at Better Living Radio. See, this is the show called The Next Big Idea. Maybe you got the next big idea, or maybe you just like to make some money from it. Peter Gantner will explain when we come back on Better Living Radio. So you've mastered your craft and you know your product helps people. Now what? Jackie Simmons, host of her own show here at Better Living Radio, wants to know if you'd like to massively increase your sales. Introducing Ultimate Sales Mastery Live, a 3-day program specially designed to show you how to own your worth, claim your value, and make a difference. It's a roll up your sleeves and get it done event. At the end, you'll have a signature talk written and rehearsed, ready to take your show on the road, ready for any chance to speak, with an intro so solid you can stand on it. Jackie Simmons is a best-selling author. Now here she is on stage. She teaches online sales courses, and she's hosting boot camps everywhere. This one's in Sarasota, Florida, April 17th. Ultimate Sales Mastery Live. For info and to register, just click on joinusm.com. That's joinusm.com. You may know David Mclaughlin from his program here at Better Living Radio. A lot of people know him because he's helped them to get money for residential and commercial properties when they'd just about given up. Diamond Dave Mclaughlin is a pro with a wealth of knowledge and a responsive attitude. Yeah, he's one of those guys who actually calls you back. In fact, the cornerstone of his business is built on great communication. David specializes in helping people with one of their most important dreams, financing a home, and enhancing the economic well-being of his customers one loan at a time. It doesn't have to be complicated. If you're looking for a pro to guide you through any kind of stress-free financing process, catch Dave's show. It's called Where to Get the Money. You can get all of Dave's contact info. In fact, the best place to find David Mclaughlin is right there on the homepage at betterlivingradio.com. Welcome back to Better Living Radio and this amazing idea for a radio show. It's called The Next Big Idea. Rather ironic, wouldn't you say? Hey, if you've got an idea, you might want to talk with host Peter Gantner or one of his guests here at Better Living Radio. Oh, look, here they come now.
We're back with our show on the gig economy and how it can help entrepreneurs, of course, help everyone, right? Maybe, and I do know some people now that are going, okay, I want to go to London next year, right? And they work regular jobs and they say they drive, Uber, Lyft, or they do one of the dog walking services that are out there right now, right? Rover, Wag, any of those type of things. And they'll go do those a couple days, 1 day or 2 days a week, and they take that money and they put it aside and they're using that for vacations. But our main purpose here with the gig economy and our inventor creative people that want to, go to that next level, right? They want to be able to keep their business moving. They don't want, guys, 80% of startups fail. And the reason why is the number one of that 80%, the biggest percentage, is they do not have the capital, not only to move their business forward, but to pay their own bills. You do not know how many times I've had people go, I have to stop because I have to go get a job because I can't pay my bills. And it tears them apart. And so what we're saying is plan it out ahead of time. Know that there is a chance if you're going to run a startup at some time, you're going to need some additional extra capital, and figure out what you can do in the gig economy to fit this in and have that share. So what I want to do right now, guys, I want to go through a list really quickly. And we can talk about a few of these. I don't have all the details. I did check. All of these sites are up and running right now. They are available. They may be only available in 8 or 10 or 12 states, so you'll have to look. But, there are a lot of things out there. Of course, Uber and Lyft, national across the country. Fiverr and Upworks. Corey mentioned this. You can come up if you have a skill. Maybe you're a graphics person. Maybe you're a writer. There's all kinds of things you can do. Now, Fiverr is things done for $5, but guess what, guys? You do not need to be $5, right? You can $20, $30, $40, $50. you'll get for doing different jobs. Maybe you have that voice your whole life. People have said you have a voice for radio, right? And so you could utilize your voice by doing voiceovers for people. And remember, you can take your business you're in, right? So we talked about maybe you have a pet product. So you're going to go to WAG or Rover, and you're going to what? Deal with pets still. So you're able to still focus on what your core focus is while making extra money to move yourself forward, keep yourself above board, and to move your company forward. We have Taskrabbit. Now, what is Taskrabbit? My wife uses it all the time. As a matter of fact, my father-in-law, he's getting a little older, right? He's getting up there in age. And so when he needs something done, we hire Taskrabbit to go help him. So he needed a garbage disposal put in. We went on our Taskrabbit app. We hired someone to go put in the garbage disposal. We bought him a new oven. We had somebody go install that in there, guys. So it's incredible. So if you have those skills and you can put a couple hours into it, you can do that, right? DoorDash and Postmates. These are fantastic, guys, because you can just, once you get set up with them, they give you a credit card, they set you up. You can just be anywhere and go, I'm willing to deliver food. Pop it on, sit there for a little while, and somebody's going to go, yeah, I need something delivered. You simply go to the business, you pick up their food, you take it to their house, and you're going to generate money from that. Airbnb, of course, you need to have some extra space that you can rent out and move that forward. There's eBay and Etsy. These were early adoptions of the gig economy, right? Taking your garage sale from your front lawn with a limited audience and having to sell stuff really cheap to a giant audience and being able to do it. So eBay are mainly used items or new items that you're buying or selling. I'm going to get into a big story here with eBay, guys, because I got to tell you, I used eBay to keep one of my companies going and then turned it into a company. I'm going to get into that really quickly. Etsy is, let's say you're talented and you're able to make stuff. You're crafty. There are people on there that are making decorations. So let's say you're going to have an event for your company and you need a center table decoration. There are people that literally make those on Etsy. They'll pick up some extra cash and make that happen and make that work. Let me go back to my eBay story. So we're in between starting a company and moving to another company and getting that up and going. And this was 10, 12 years ago. We realized that we could go, that people were still having, and people still have them today, garage sales. So what we realized is we could go to garage sales, look for great items. And guys, we were making thousands of dollars a weekend, not a few $100s, thousands. Now today, because of it's moved along some, maybe you could pick up a few extra $100 doing this, but we would make thousands of dollars. And what we'd do is go to garage sales and find items that we knew were in high demand on eBay. Offer $10 for it at the garage sale, buy it over the weekend. By Monday, have it up for auction and have somebody that was willing to pay $40 or $50 to buy it. Making 3, 4, 5 times markups on the products. And guess what? Occasionally, you run across this, like, you guys have seen it before. Somebody buys something at a garage sale and sells it for $500,000. Now, I'm not talking about that big, but we've purchased items before for $10 and then gotten $300, $400, $500 for them from a collector on eBay and those type of things. So another great way to bring that forward and make that happen. And Deb and Cory, if you guys have a story here that you'd love to run by the audience, you guys just pipe right in. I'm going to keep moving forward here. Well, so we talked a little bit. Go ahead, Deb.
And then I interrupted you, but first I just want to mention that I am loving this show and how much I would have loved to have had this show a few years ago when I was desperately searching for something to do. And this is perfect for entrepreneurs who are working so hard to get their businesses off the ground and to give them some ideas of some things that they can do in the background. Now, I do have some experience in DoorDash, not myself, but my daughter. She drove for DoorDash for a while working her other job and going to school. She needed to make ends meet, and so she picked up DoorDash, and she loved it. And I got to say what her favorite part was? some of the areas that she would drive into, some of the neighborhoods she would drive into, she got her mindset into checking out these mansions and these beautiful homes and picturing herself living there. And so, you know me well enough to know that that was the best job she's ever had, I think, just because it allowed her to do that dreaming in between her other jobs in school.
And you don't have to plan it out, right? You just go, okay, I have something to do tomorrow. I'm not going to do it. Oh, that fell through. Oh, let me go do something to make money, right? Or I'm going to do Deal Dash tomorrow. Something comes up. You can put it off till the next day. So it really gives you that flexibility.
Yes.
And being able to just get stuff done that you need to get done. And that's what's perfect for an entrepreneur. Go ahead, Cory.
Yeah, and sitting from a fascination kind of seat here, and I know a lot of the listeners are as well, but I'm sitting back listening, soaking in all this information and participating in my mind. But it's like Deb said, being in an opportunity right now to hear this show and to know that there is so much as an entrepreneur or as somebody that, you know, when life happens, there's options. And, you know, prior to this world where we are now with technology, you know, you would be hard pressed to reach out and get something that's going to help you succeed or even survive or thrive in this economy. So, you know, I really believe that the world where it is today, and thankfully to this show, you've opened up a lot of eyes into a lot of different businesses and companies like Lyft, like Uber, like Airbnb. A cool story about Airbnb, my wife and I, we went down to Florida and, you know, we were not planning, but planning to stay. And we stopped for, you know, for a night, and we looked up on Airbnb and stayed on a boat. So that was really cool experience last minute, but it was that option availability. The last thing I wanted to say real quickly is the gig economy and the shared economy where it is now, it's not as reactive, and it's more proactive now. So you don't have to find something out of reactive to what the world or what your situation does, but you can be proactive as an entrepreneur and actually plan this out, and you can kind of line your plate with many different options where you can get cash flow at ease, and also as somebody using the service, that opens up as well to being proactive.
Well, my brother, he was driving Uber and also helping with some of the stuff we were doing with the business. He ran into a Target buyer, right? So he was able to talk to them about one of the products that we were working on. He ran into an attorney, which we ended up using for some patent work. So not only do some of these things give you an opportunity to make some extra money, it may lead you to a contact that can help move your business forward, right? Because you're out doing something. That is the most important thing, guys. It is easy as an entrepreneur at some point to get overwhelmed and sit there and get frozen and not move your business forward, to let the financial pressures, to let the business pressures keep you from getting up and making things happen. By having a plan, guys, we only hit about half this list yet. We're going to go through the rest of it on the other side of the break. But I want to finish this point, guys. It is so important. Movement forward. Don't care if it's a quarter of an inch, a tenth of an inch, a foot, whatever it is. Every day as an entrepreneur, you want to continue to move your business forward. That's what's going to attract the right people in your life to help you move towards bringing your brand to successful. Remember, I've said starting a business is like climbing Mount Everest naked with no guide, no oxygen. Your chances of making it are pretty slim, but guess what? People do make it. And it are the people that prepare properly, that set themselves up for success. And it's the people that move their business forward every single day, especially in the startup phase, especially in the early times.
You're tuned in to Better Living Radio, streaming worldwide across the internet. And you're listening to entrepreneur and thought processor Peter Gantner on the next big idea. Stay tuned. Peter will be right back. Each week in his live video market and economy update offered to his inner circle, Dan Frischberg delivers the in-depth, professional version of his famous Market X-Ray report, live and interactive, Now that means you get to ask all the questions you want. And if you can't make the live meeting, you can watch the report on demand. Then email your questions in and Dan will email the answers back or include them in the next live report. Week in and week out, Dan brings you the ideas and specific stock picks from his friends, the people you see on TV and read about in the papers. You'll see what they're buying, how they're hedging, and when they're taking money off the table. At last, you'll get to see how the insiders negotiate the institutional macro bonds that billionaires on Wall Street rely on, the ones almost everyone else never even heard of. When you become an Inner Circle member, Dan will share with you his lifetime of experience and guide you to the best teachers, the best stock pickers, the best option strategists. And you'll be invited to exclusive working vacations in beautiful locations for the Inner Circle only, where you'll rub elbows with some of the most famous investors on Wall Street. So, how do you value the lifetime of skill and experience of a top investor on a mission to share it all with you and help you become one of the few winners? If you've been listening to Dan for a few years, he's likely already made you tons of money, or even more important, saved you from losing a fortune. Now, there are limits to the capacity of the online video sessions, but right now, for a limited time, Dan's offering you the position of charter subscriber, get this, for less than the price of a cup of coffee a day. For all the info or to subscribe, just simply click on themoneyman.com. Themoneyman.com. Better Living Radio is on the air, and yes, it's everywhere around the world. Are you wondering, hey, what's the big idea? Well, funny you should ask. Our show is called The Next Big Idea with Peter Gantner. In fact, we're back with more on Better Living Radio.
Boom, quick break, guys, and we're right back at it with the gig economy and how you as an entrepreneur can utilize it to benefit, to keep yourself from getting trapped, and where a lot of people do get caught up on, and that is the financial drain that being an entrepreneur can do in your life. So, all right, guys. So let's go through some more of this list. We haven't covered Patreon yet, right? Patreon is a site where you can go. Guys, I didn't even realize all this stuff existed, right? You don't realize how much is out there until you start going and look. The gig economy and buying these type of things. But Patreon is, if you're a talented person, maybe you're a writer, an artist, whatever it may be. But I don't know if anybody's done this or not. But what if you were an entrepreneur and you had 20 friends that would just give you 10 or 20 bucks a month to help support you in your journey, right? You can put it up there and you can, let them in on some stuff. And so get some support is that. Poshmark, right? Selling old clothing. Look, maybe you had a job and you have a full closet full of clothes and now you're an entrepreneur. Heck, you probably only need your underwear and your t-shirt as an entrepreneur and one outfit to go out and do sales calls, right? You don't need all those clothes. So what do? You put them on Poshmark, you turn them into some cash, and you use that from there. Handy house cleaning, guys. Handy is a site where you can decide you're good at cleaning your own house, right? If you're good at cleaning your own house, you'll probably be good at cleaning someone else's house. I'm telling you, Deb is like, well, maybe they're. I think Deb has something to say on that one.
If you could see faces, that would have been funny.
I was about to jump in, and I was thinking, wow, that's a great idea. And then you mentioned the part about Deb is a good, and so. Probably not one for me, but I think I'm going to call him up and have him come by.
That's perfect. Maybe, guys, Dolly for moving, right? DOLLY. Maybe you don't mind getting a little exercise. Look, you're an entrepreneur now. You don't have time to go to the gym. What do? Every 3 days, go sign up with Dolly and go move somebody's house, right? Move their furniture, move that. You get your exercise in and you get paid to do it while you're doing it, right? Lawn love. Maybe you love gardening, but you're an entrepreneur, so you don't get to do your own gardening. Go do somebody else's and get paid to do it. Guys, I'm making a little fun about this, but I'm serious, guys. There are so many ways for you to pick up that extra money, to plan it out, to do it. Now, there is probably a chance that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you had a job, let's say, making enough money, you may have to scale back. And that's one of the things I want you to think about when you begin. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to do this ahead of time before you start it. already go through that budget and start to scale back things that you can cut back. I don't need the gym membership. Maybe I don't need the deluxe one. Maybe I need the other one. Maybe I can cut this back, cut back. Trim your budget to begin with, and then know what it will take for you to keep yourself going. I hate, it drives me nuts to hear somebody say, I have to walk away from my business because I cannot pay my bills. And it happens all the time. We've had a few people of our kulaBrands inventors that have had to go back to work, and it has disrupted their entrepreneurial journey, and of course disrupts us being able to provide value. So this is stuff we've dealt with already in kulaBrands, guys, but it's not a kulaBrands thing. It's a thing across the board. We've got Jobble, hourly work of all kinds, guys. You can just say, hey, I want to work for 4 hours, go on your Jobble app, pop it up, and they will find something for you to do. It might be, cleaning up somebody's office. It might be doing paperwork. You can just jump in and do that.
Wait,
Hello Tech.
Peter, what was that one called?
Jobble, Jobble, Jobble. And there are probably competing sites against this, guys. If you go there and these sites are not in your area, you can probably Google because if there's one company doing it, there's probably one or two other ones. Just to let you guys know, Uber and Lyft were not the first two companies to become in that space. There was another company prior to that, and then they came along. So there's usually in these sharing economy spaces, there's 2 or 3 companies that are doing it. And I just put some. There were so many companies, I could not put them all down, okay? And then you have other ones, Hello Tech. Like I said, if you have some computer skills, this is one where you're going to have to take an assessment test. They're going to want to look at your skill level. You're going to have to prove your skill level. But this is somebody who wants to set up a network. Let's say I need a network set up in my office. I need it for 3 hours. I have you come over. You put it in. Boom, you jump right out. There's Zeal, Zeel. There's Gigwalk. Get Around. Here's a beautiful one in Toro. This is the one I talked about. Let's say that you had a couple cars, right? You had a job going in one direction. Wife had another job. Now you've decided to do this entrepreneurial thing. You have an extra car. You can rent your car out on a daily basis, help make the car payment, bring in some extra money, maybe pay the insurance. So you can rent out your car that you currently own. Of course, we talk about Rentha, which is Rentah, renting out all kinds of things. We talked about Spot Hero. And then, of course, there's Turning Art. That's the one where if you're an artist or maybe you own some artwork, I wouldn't say if you own a Mona Lisa to rent it out, right? But maybe you own a $500,000 painting. You can rent that out.
Well, my sister did something similar to that. She's a photographer, and she put her pictures in a restaurant. They paid her to put them there each month. But then anybody that wanted to purchase one could actually purchase one from her too. So I've heard of something like that. I wanted to mention, Peter, this is so beyond interesting to me. You had done the research on these. I didn't realize that all of these existed. And it wasn't that many years. I mean, these have to be so new because it wasn't that many years ago. I was looking for something. I was struggling. I was looking for something that I could do from home. And what I did back then was I was contacting little companies that were just starting up. And I was sending them contacting them and said, here are some of my skills. I can do some video marketing for you. I can do this. I can edit this. I'm looking at your website. I could help you with this. I was just randomly reaching out to people looking for anybody to pay me to do anything. I am loving that all this is so available to anybody online now. It's crazy.
You mentioned I have 2 original Mona Lisas, so I could spare one of those, Peter.
That's perfect. That fits right in with you. Well, Deb mentions photos. There's Shutterstock, right? Where you can actually take photos and rent out those images to people, right? For them to use to go out in the marketplace. There are so many ways to do this. And here's the thing is, guys, what this does is, let's say you have the moving skills and you can move somebody, right? If normally what you would have to do, and this is why the gig economy, that's why these sites are so important. They find the customer for you. All you have to do is show up and do it. In a normal situation, you're a tech person. Well, and Deb mentioned it. She would call out to businesses and find a business. That's time she could be spent building her business. The reason why this is so important is these companies are going to find the resources for you. All you're going to do is turn on your app and see if there's anything that's needed or available. And you can just be working away on your stuff, not having to worry. And then when something pops up, just jump in and go and do it.
Peter,
the reason why this is so powerful.
Let me tell you how important that is too. Coming from, you mentioned a company called Zeal, and in my past life, I was a massage therapist. And you're talking about them contacting customers for you. As a massage therapist, if you're an independent contractor, you're working for yourself. Sometimes you're having trouble getting started and getting clientele started and advertising, marketing money, all that kind of stuff. When that all that's covered, that's one of those companies where and practices where that is hugely important. And I'm glad you mentioned that. That's just a huge point right there.
I put that one on there for you to talk about, buddy, because it's like, wait, that's Cory, right? When I saw it, I went, wow. Yeah. Think about that. Starting a massage business, you've got to go find clients. You got to do all that stuff. You got to spend money on marketing and advertising, and still you give up a percentage. You got work coming in. You got money coming in. Absolute solution right there.
Yeah, that's one of those companies that have been around for a while. And when I first got into using Zeal, it wasn't even that light switch of, oh, this is shared economy, or this is what this is. This was like holy convenience factor for myself and anybody that's in the realm of massage, and what a convenience factor it is provided for the consumer as well.
Yeah, this is just fantastic. Guys, this is just some of what is out there. The biggest thing we want to get across to you, entrepreneurship is not always easy. Just because you start a business and have a good idea, people are not going to be throwing money at you. They're not going to deliver bags of money to your door. Every investor you meet with is not going to write you a check. You may need to figure out other ways to bring in cash flow. The sharing economy is one of those ways. We are running out of time, guys. I cannot believe that we've gone through an entire show here. I would love to. We're going to do another show on this in the next few weeks, guys, because there is more to talk about on this gig and sharing economy. Thank you for joining us on our show today. When that idea pops in your head and you go, I've got the next big idea, guys, kulaBrands is one of the mechanisms that can maybe possibly help take that to the marketplace. We thank you for joining us. We thank you for being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is what has helped make the American dream possible. Have a fantastic weekend.
Did you ever imagine that these little inventions like radio and the internet, that there was a time when they were considered the next big idea? And yet, here you are today, having just heard a program called The Next Big Idea. Peter Gantner is your host. He's one of the founders of kulaBrands, and they can help you whether you've got an idea of your own or you just want to get in on the ground floor of the next big thing. Peter and his co-hosts and guests are here weekdays on Better Living Radio to discuss the ins and outs of creating, manufacturing, branding, and marketing the best of the big ideas. Maybe you've got one, or maybe you want to be involved in one. You're definitely tuned into the right spot. So hear this. You can hear this program weekdays at the same time on Better Living Radio as kulaBrands presents Peter Gantner and the Next Big Idea. Do you absorb information on stocks and the markets better when you can see it in black and white? You can read all about the subject matter heard on the Dent Market Digest simply by clicking on to harrydent.com. There are lots of articles detailing the stories you hear about on the show. There are videos featuring Harry, constantly updated so you get the latest info available. There's info on Harry's latest books. Plus, you can easily subscribe to Harry's e-letter. It's called Economy and Markets. And pardon the pun, but it's a wealth of information you can get every day, and surprise, it's absolutely free. Each weekday in Economy and Markets, Harry, Rodney, and the rest of the team offer commentary and analysis on their latest forecasts, demographic and stock market trends, the housing market, critical economic cycles and policies, investment strategies, and so much more. To register, just click on to harrydent.com, and remember, all of Harry's contact info is on the homepage at betterlivingradio.com. The next $1 million idea is being formed each and every day. How many of those ideas, brands, companies, or musicians will break into the market, let alone make it to the top? At kulaBrands, we work hand in hand with inventors and creative folks to boost their brands. From concept to products ready to take the world stage, kulaBrands provides entrepreneurs with funding, brand creation, gap sales, marketing, and more. Using a rewards-based royalty system, both kulaBrands and your company succeed. Where will I get the money? How do I reach a global customer base? How or where do I get my products manufactured? kulaBrands helps solve these challenges and helps your business on a path to success. kulaBrands, changing the way new ideas get to market, and yours could be next. Reach out to kulaBrands at kulaBrands.com. That's K-U-L-A, kulaBrands.com, or see the contact info on the homepage at betterlivingradio.com.